Due to the nature of the crimes detailed in this episode, those suffering with disordered eating may find this content triggering. As always, listener discretion is advised. Briefcase Crimes contains graphic depictions of violent acts, bad jokes, and loud dog noises. It's not intended for all audiences, and listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, listeners, to Briefcase Crimes.
I'm Hannah, and I'm full of terrifying facts about horrific events.
I'm Liz, and I'm full of morbid curiosity.
Elizabeth.
Hannah.
Today, we have a crazy lady.
Ooh. How crazy?
I'm going to let you decide at the end.
Okay.
We'll do on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay.
I guess.
Deal.
So, I've used the blog Talk Murder With Me in the past, and I have a really hard time finding cases that, fit with our show.
Mm-hmm.
So, sometimes when I need inspiration, I'll go to blogs like Talk Murder With Me, or I have some other ones, but that's where I found my friend Linda, who we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to be talking about Doctor, in quotations, Doctor.
I wish Linda. They could see me.
Yeah. Liz is just doing, bunny ears at me. Yeah. Linda Hazzard, as in the Dukes of.
Oh my God.
Linda Hazzard. Are you double screening?
I'm trying to.
What are you hoping to accomplish with that?
I'm hoping to minimize the mouse clicks.
Oh, I usually either cut them out or just leave them in depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Old Linda.
Grasping at straws.
Just trying our best to have good audio.
Listen, I recorded an almost entire story time with no audio on Facebook Live today.
Oh no.
I know. It's been a bad AV day for Liz.
Yeah. Someday maybe we'll have nice offices with soundproofing and blankets, but for right now, that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
My office smells like dog poop.
Yeah?
Before we recorded.
Dog poo and apple and pumpkin candle.
Yeah. Before we recorded, Hazel decided to poop directly next to me. So after I cleaned it up and lit an apple pumpkin candle from Yankee, we have begun.
Yeah.
So not only are we not soundproofed, but my office is stinky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyhow.
Linda. Listen, Linda. That's an old reference. You're welcome for that old internet reference. Linda Hazzard was born Linda Laura Burfield in Carver, Minnesota.
Okay.
Not a lot is known about her, bringing up her, childhood. Her childhood.
Her bringing up.
Well, first of all, Liz knows that I have aphasia,
yes.
Which means that affects my ability to draw certain words out, of my brain.
That doesn't mean that I don't pick on her for it.
That's true. But I was going to say, Liz knows this, but the other day I was trying to get Ryan to understand what I was talking about. So I'll, circumnavigate a word to try and get him to, figure out what it is. It's our life is one big game of catchphrase.
Yeah.
But the other day I was making Christmas cookies, and I said, I have white ones and I have green ones, and next I'm gonna make orange ones. And then I was like, no, not orange. And he was like, what color then? And I was like, orange, angry orange. Orange is angry big brother. And he was like, red? But it took him so long. He named all the colors, and I'm like, the other Christmas one.
That would be so much fun with colorblind Scott.
That's true.
But I still don't think that beats Foot Punch.
Foot Punch was great. The other day I was trying to think of the word book. I was like, I'm going to go downstairs and get my book so I can read before bed, but I couldn't think of it. And I was like trying to mime it to him, and he just wasn't getting it. And eventually I was like, they have them where I work. And he was like, books?
Oh, God.
It's a mess. I got a mess.
Meanwhile, Scott decided one day last weekend that he just didn't want to speak, and so he mimed an entire conversation with me. I wish I could remember what it was, because it was just ridiculous. Because he was like, we were just like messing around, you know? And, it was so amusing. He was so proud of himself, because I followed the whole thing.
That's good.
I know.
He's good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, back to my friend Linda. Linda. If you go to your first slide.
Yes.
This is Linda.
Hi, Linda.
This is her. She's a very stern-looking woman.
She is.
She looks like she has no teeth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, she absolutely does.
She looks like she has no teeth. I don't know if she had teeth or not, but this is Lynn. So I told you she was a doctor in quotations.
Right.
She technically was a doctor, kind of.
Incredulous look?
Yeah, so she was born in Minnesota, but at some point she relocated to Washington, the state, not the town.
Got it.
You're giving up on double screens?
Yep, it's just not working. It's the little tripod is top heavy.
Oh.
So
she relocated to Washington State for whatever reason. Probably because of this, if I had to imagine.
Because of what?
Because she somehow found out that Washington State has some sort of loophole wherein practitioners of alternative medicine can be awarded degrees in medicine even though they haven't done any study or clinical hours or are doctors. Like, they can just be an MD with a degree because they're a practitioner of alternative medicine.
Two things. The way you said loophole was chef's kiss. It was like loophole.
Ooh, I didn't know I did that.
Yeah, you did. Second, what?
Yeah, I don't know.
Me? Washington, what were you doing?
Well, it was the late 1800s, the turn of the century. Remember when we were talking about another fake doctor, Dr. Carl Tanzler?
Yeah.
And I said that you could just throw on a white coat and say you were a doctor?
Yeah.
Well, we're not that far off, clearly.
Yeah. Well, and these are also the times where you could just, like, move and become whatever you wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know, like... So, I will preface. Sawbones, one of my favorite podcasts. It's a McElroy family podcast. Sawbones did an episode on her, which is great. Go listen to it. I don't know if Sydney gets into more about, like, what time frame we're at here, but, like, I don't even know how far out of the realm of, like, barber surgeons we are. Like, I don't know if we were still doing barber surgeons or not. Go listen to Sawbones. It'll tell you.
That is just so concerning.
Yeah. Medicine's weird. That's why I love Sawbones, because it tells you all about the, like, misguided medicine.
Yeah.
But back to Lynn.
Oh, Lynn.
So you know this. You know this about me, but I like herbalism.
Yeah.
I like certain brands of alternative medicine. I'm not opposed to alternative medicine.
Well, there's a fine line between incorporating holistic methods to encourage healthful living and saying that if you use essential oils, you don't need to go to the doctor.
That explanation, chef's kiss.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. You articulated that beautifully. This is episode 20, the one where we just compliment each other the entire episode.
I'm here for it.
I love it. I'm fine. So, if you go to your next slide, this is her husbando.
He looks not happy to be here.
That is a mugshot.
That explains it.
So,
I'm feeling like we're spicy today. I don't know.
We are very spicy. We've had a day, so
we
we're just enjoying being with each other and talking about terrible crime.
Just feeling our oats.
Yes. Ryan watched season 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race, and so he uses that phrase.
Good. Everyone should.
He's like, Hazel's just over there feeling her oats, and I'm just like,
Gia is
I love this. I love this this culture I've cultivated in you. So, in the beginning of the 1900s, probably like 1904-ish.
Okay.
Again, with stories this old, dates get squishy, names get squishy.
Yeah.
But she meets Samuel Christman Hazzard. Mm-hmm. So when she met him, had just been kicked out of the army.
Okay.
Because he was, quote, according to Talk Murder With Me, he was, quote, misappropriating army funds. So stealing.
Uh-huh.
Stealing from the military.
See, when I hear misappropriation, I assume that the person is not necessarily pocketing the money, but that they are, like, equivalent to just outright buying things with a government credit card, for example.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is stealing.
But it's not the same as just, like,
it's not embezzlement, but that is stealing.
Right.
Like misappropriating funds, using them inappropriately, that is stealing.
Right, but because it's like misappropriation, I'm like, what'd you buy, bro?
Yeah. Well,
what'd you get?
He sucked. He was an alcoholic. He was like your typical 1904 guy that looked like this. Like, he is everything he looks like. So I know what you're thinking. Why in the world is he having a mugshot taken? Mm-hmm. Like, what did he do to get this mugshot? Well, he met Lynn, our good friend Lynn,
right?
Friend of the show Lynn, and he married her. So she was already practicing her medicine at this point, but I'm not getting into her medicine, and I'm using that term very loosely. Yeah. But she's already practicing her medicine, but I'm going to get into her treatments later.
Ooh,
but
boy.
I want to get through old Sammy Hazzard first.
I want to know.
So, he met her, he married her, and then he realized, or maybe he didn't, but the government realized, hey, Sam, you're already married, my dude.
Oh, no.
So he had been married twice before, and he either, like, I don't know, something happened with his second wife, and they never got divorced, and he either knew this and just didn't care, or he forgot about it, but he married Linda. That's
another one of those things, like, with just picking up and moving and deciding to be whoever you want to be, though. Like, you could just move to another state and be like, yeah.
A bigamist?
Yeah. No, but honestly, you really could.
Yeah, well, the government caught up to him because they were like, hey, Mr. Bigamist, hey, Mr. Two Wives.
Yeah.
You're going to go to jail for 2 years.
Mr. Two Wives.
Mr. Two Wives served more jail time than Brock Turner. You're welcome.
Every time I'm reminded of Brock Turner.
This is your friendly reminder that Brock Turner is a rapist and deserved to be in jail for way longer than he was.
Convicted, by the way.
Convicted rapist Brock Turner served less time than Johnny Two Wives here. Anyway. Forever salty forever. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Are you ready to find out the secret to all of your ailments?
Oh boy, am I.
I have just the thing for you.
All right.
So.
It better be like a tonic or cocaine, as was common.
Not even. You're in the complete wrong direction.
Oh, that's right, though. It's holistic, so.
When you hear what it is, you're gonna, you just listen. So, at some point, Linda came across a man who has an MD after his name, but I am not sure if he was a doctor either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is real loosey-goosey on who gets to be called an MD in this story.
It's like, it should be a game show at this point.
Yeah. Is he a real doctor or is he not? Well, this man's name was Edward Hooker Dewey, MD. And he wrote a book called The No Breakfast Plan and the Fasting Cure. Please go to your next slide.
This is giving me big Kellogg's vibes, but okay.
Kellogg's is like a whole nother monster.
Oh, man.
So, this is Edward Dewey, and that is the cover of his book. I don't recommend that you read any of the books that are mentioned today, except for our reading and recommended.
I think I'll abstain from adding them. To the
Please do, because I don't even want to promote any of these things. So, Linda Hazzard at some point read this book by Edward Dewey, and she was like, "No breakfast. I'm gonna one-up you, Dr. Dewey, Dr. Hooker Dewey." She published her own book in 1904, self-published. She did it herself.
It's shocker.
It was called Fasting for the Cure of Disease. And in that book, she wrote, "Appetite is craving. Hunger is desire. Craving is never satisfied, but desire is relieved when want is supplied." What does that mean, and why does it sound like a fortune cookie?
It does sound like a fortune cookie.
It sounds like a string of words. So this really makes me think of two different things.
Okay.
Number one, I think you watch this channel. I will reference this channel. I think you watch it. Do you watch the Illuminati?
I just watched her today. Where do you think the essential oils idea in my analogy came from?
Perfect. So, yes, I thought you did, but this reminds me a lot of Jilly Juice.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So this whole thing of like appetite, craving, hunger, desire, want, and she was just like, these are all words that mean things. I will just put them together.
They're just buzzwords. It's like putting tags on a YouTube video.
Yes. So I'm going to start this whole story right now by saying I am not going to poo-poo the idea of fasting.
There are genuine applications.
Yes.
But no genuine... Now, of course, I don't know what her method was, but no genuine methods would recommend long-term fasting. I'm assuming she's like... What's that called? There's
Breatharianism?
Yes, Breatharianism.
I was so ready, because that was my second thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picturing.
We'll get into this. We'll get into her exact, plan, her treatment plan, and all of that. Again, in everything I say about her is in loose air quotes.
Oh, yeah.
But so her idea was that people overeat. Oh, I was talking about fasting. I was talking about fasting being a thing. So I think that there are applications for fasting.
Right.
There are religious reasons for fasting that are absolutely valid.
Political reasons.
I want to begin this by saying I am not poo-pooing the idea of fasting.
Absolutely not. We are not here to yuck anyone's yum so long as
Except for this woman's.
So long as your yum is healthy, genuinely, and does not harm anyone else.
This woman had no yum because she wasn't eating. So she basically was like, eating too much food is what is causing all illness. And by too much, she had a very strict idea about what too much was.
I don't think that the reason that I have defective connective tissue is because of what I eat.
It's not what you eat. It's the fact that you are eating.
Exactly.
You're eating too frequently. So her idea, because I don't even know where she's pulling any of this data from or these ideas from. I don't know if she was a woman who actually believed in this or a woman who was going to use this as a means to an end, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, like a con artist kind of thing. It just has MLM written all over it, which...
Well, she didn't run a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
But what she did basically was she was like, your digestive system needs time to rest. It's not even that you're eating too much, it's that you're eating too frequently. So she thought that fasting would basically detoxify your body.
That's not a real thing, but okay.
Yeah. Let me just remind everybody. If you have a liver, if you have kidneys, your body is doing that itself. You don't need detoxes. No. You don't need anything that claims to detoxify your body. Your body is doing that on its own. It's the whole point of it. Like, it's the whole point of, like, many organs in your body.
Right.
So what she would mainly say is, like, during these fasts that she would prescribe, she would have people only consume, like, a little bit of juices or, like, a little bit of broth.
Okay, so that is a good thing. I will say, coming from a person who has previously done intermittent fasting.
Yes.
Broth is a fantastic thing to drink if you need electrolytes. Like, yes. That's the whole reason that people tell you to have chicken soup when you're sick. It's not, like, it has become synonymous with, like, comfort because of that. But the real reason is because when you're sick, you tend to be dehydrated and lacking in nutrients. And broth contains a lot of nutrients in something that's easy to keep down.
Two things. One, I knew you would have good and big opinions on this as somebody who has had success with fasting.
Yeah.
As, like, in a healthy way.
Right.
And two, I had a gym teacher in high school who also taught health, and he called them electric lights.
Electric lights?
Unironically called them electric lights.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So every time I hear the word electrolytes, I'm just like, in my brain, I just hear Mr. Anderson saying electric lights.
Yeah.
She was a very domineering woman.
I thought you were going to just say dumb.
She was very dumb. Well, yeah, there's also that. But
anyway, domineering.
She was very domineering. She, like, a lot of people said that she had a very loud and, like, what's the word I want? She had a voice that carried and was, like, very strong. And she always looked like stormy.
Oh.
Is the word that is used.
Interesting.
So she was very able to manipulate people into following her treatments.
Yeah.
Starting in 1906, Sammy Two Wives gets out of prison. That's why we think that they got married in, like, 1904.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would make sense that he served a 2-year sentence.
Yeah.
So he gets out of prison, and they move to Olalla, Washington.
Okay.
Her offices were in Seattle. Olalla is, like, across the Puget Sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's, like, just a short boat ride away.
Yeah.
And her dream in Olalla was to open a sanitarium.
Okay.
A sanitarium being, like, a convalescent home, for those who don't know. It's like a hospital, but less for, like, emergencies and more for, like, you just go here to get better.
Right.
They had these a lot. Sanitariums, to me, in my mind, are almost synonymous with tuberculosis.
Right. Like, to me, it's like, just if you have a family member who's sick that you don't want to deal with, I feel like sanitarium.
Yeah.
That's what I think of, anyhow.
Her plan is she's going to open a sanitarium for these people who are ill,
Mm-hmm.
and she's going to cure them with her fasting.
By starving them. That's what I'm hearing.
So I will skip ahead to this. She is known as the Starvation Doctor.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah, checks out.
Mm-hmm.
Apt nickname.
Yeah.
So her home was in a place that she referred to as Wilderness Heights.
Okay.
It's like the area. It became known by locals as Starvation Heights. There's a man called Greg Olson, and he wrote a book called Starvation Heights that is about this case. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want to write that down so you can put it in the thing. Because it's not her protocol. It's the story of this. So his name is Greg, Gregg.
Okay.
So 3 G's. Olson, Olsen.
Okay.
And the book is called Starvation Heights.
Okay. That one I will put in bookshop.
Yes. I will endorse any book about this case. I will not endorse any books that were used in the practice of this treatment.
Right.
So the idea was these patients would come to her office and they would do this, like learn how to do this fasting. And then when they would become too sick from fasting, they would be transferred to Olala, to Wilderness Heights, Starvation Heights, to sort of recuperate, I guess, was the idea.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're getting sick. Well, you just need more fasting, which is what this is why this reminds me of Jilly Juice.
Yeah.
Is like, oh, you're pooping out your stomach lining, and I'm claiming it's parasites. You just need more juice. You're having a stroke. You just need more juice.
Ridiculous.
But in this case, it's you just need less of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a crime to give people bad advice, I guess. I don't know. I just think it should be if it's not.
It can be. Okay,
So,
I'm gonna bring up case. What are their names? I don't recall the names. It's a recent case, like within the past 5 years, of the girl who encouraged her boyfriend to kill himself.
Oh, yes, I know their names.
She
his
was
name,
guilty.
Yeah, oh my god. Conrad Roy.
That's right.
And Michelle Carter. I knew his name was Conrad, but I couldn't think of his last name.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, but this isn't the same. This isn't like, go ahead and kill yourself. This is very much, so here's the thing. I think, because I keep bringing up Jilly Juice, I feel like we're just going to see this case happen again with her.
Yeah.
Because this is where we're heading.
Mm-hmm.
So, she didn't just say you should be fasting.
Right.
She also advocated during these treatments for daily enemas.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, you don't need an enema unless you've got a problem.
Yeah. Unless you are, like, about to go in for, like, a colonoscopy.
Yeah. Like,
or whatever.
that should never be part of, like, your weekly routine.
Mm-mm.
Your body already does that for you.
Yes. So, these enemas were, like, very, irritating to the body.
What was...
And, like...
Because I know you can use different liquids.
I'm not sure what she used.
Okay.
But I know...
All I can think of right now is coffee enemas.
No. I know that in Call the Midwife, they used, like, back in the day, they would use, like, warm, soapy water.
Oh, my God.
And the idea was, you're about to have a baby, so we're gonna, like, clean clean that tract out so that one, you don't accidentally, because it was the 50s and 60s. So at home, and these women didn't have like great conditions. So the idea was, we're not going to further contaminate the area by having you defecate while you're giving birth.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I don't know what she used, but I'll bring up the enemas again later.
Oh, great.
The enemas are going to come up again. Sorry. Sorry to just like foist a bunch of poop talk on all of you today. I talked about the dog pooping. Like,
that's the thing. Hazel was just getting us ready.
She was like, I'm fasting, Mom. So she said about these enemas, but she also had these massages.
Okay.
In big quotes, massages. Because they were like so violent that her patients often were like covered in bruises.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I don't even know if it was like, because I know that some people say that like aggressive massages, or like the massages where they like hit you with branches, they like apparently stimulate your lymphatic system or something. Like, I don't know the medicine behind it, the quote unquote medicine. I don't know why she was doing these massages.
So another thing that I watch on YouTube is chiropractic videos. Mm-hmm. Like, not full ASMR ones, but I just think chiropractic care is like really interesting. And something that they do in them is scraping.
Yes.
And that causes bruising, but it's surface level. Yes. It's not like trauma, and they're not painful. It's just a little bit of visible because it's
breaking the blood vessels.
Exactly, but it's not a painful bruise. And I've walked out of massages in pain before. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah,
like it was a bad masseuse.
Yeah, I don't think. First of all, I know for a fact that old Linda didn't go to like
massage therapy school.
South Hills for massage therapy. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's doing all of this. She's running this like holistic health place for a couple years. Mm-hmm. And in 1908 is when we see our first 2 deaths.
This, like, just has American Horror Story written all over it.
It does. I can't believe they haven't done a season on this.
Well, they already had an asylum episode,
That's true, but this isn't asylum as much as it is just like, it's kind of like if you mixed asylum and cult.
Yeah.
Together.
That's true.
So this is why I was going to talk about the Breatharianism thing. So for those who don't know, there are a lot of good video essays on YouTube about this, but there is a branch of, I'm going to say alternate medicine, but I'm going to use that very, very loosely, where the idea is that allegedly you can live on nothing but light, like a plant.
Photosynthesis.
Yeah, which a plant can even only live on light.
Yeah.
So that has had a ton of deaths involved in it. And again, the founders and the people peddling this stuff like aren't brought up on charges because they're just like, I don't know, they're not making anybody do it. They're just talking about it, but that just feels so wrong.
You know who in the modern day was breatharian?
Who?
That living Barbie doll woman.
Yeah.
She's a breatharian.
I don't believe that first. I don't believe anybody is a breatharian
actually.
Genuinely.
Yeah,
I think yes.
I watched a documentary in which she like said she was, but like, girl, you wouldn't still be alive.
No. As this case will quickly teach you, if you're trying to just live on light and breathing, these people were doing more than that and they're still dying.
Yeah.
So 1908, the first death is a Norwegian immigrant named Daisy Maud Haugland. Mm-hmm. You don't need to write her down on the pictures or anything. But she was getting a lot of people who were kind of upper class people because they had money and they had time and they like things that are trendy.
Well, that's like just like today. Who's
Absolutely.
the population that's going to be least likely to admit themselves into an inpatient facility? Poor people, because they can't afford to be out of work.
It's important to note, though, that these people weren't getting quote-unquote inpatient care until they were too sick to function.
Oh.
Then they were going to her house. It wasn't a sanitarium yet. It was just a house. So they were basically getting, like, diet advice or medical advice from her, and they would do this at home.
Okay.
And then they would come to her and they would say, I'm too sick to function. What do I need to do? And she would say, you need to go across the bay to my home.
Yeah, she's like, well, you're just not doing it right.
Basically. But you're right. This is the group, like today, these are the people who get into Scientology. These are the people who get into like Kabbalah and like weird diets and stuff, and it's because they have money and they have time.
Speaking of Scientology, I just found out today that the founder of ABC Mouse is a Scientologist who's donated over $20 million to Scientology.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have that at work, and I'm like, would it be out of place if I suggest that we switch to something else? Because that makes me uncomfortable.
I don't think that'd be out of place at all.
Yeah. I was like, that's messed up.
Yeah. No, that's because maybe we'll do an entire episode about Scientology and its crimes because I love that kind of stuff.
Me too. I would love that.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. So Daisy Maud Hogland was a wealthy immigrant. She died on February 26th at the age of 38.
Wow.
Yeah. It's Scotty.
Yep. He can't hear you.
She died after fasting for 50 days.
Oh my God.
So I'll explain Linda's fast and like what the protocol was later.
Okay.
Or you'll get more of a glimpse of it later.
Yeah.
But so she wasn't not consuming anything for 50 days.
Right.
But after 50 days, she finally died from not consuming enough calories.
Wow.
Incidentally, I don't know if there's anyone listening from the Seattle area, but there is apparently a Seattle restaurant chain called Ivar's. Ivar is a very Scandinavian male name. It's a Norse name. Her son, Ivar Hogland, was 3 years old when his mother died from this treatment, and he went on to found that restaurant chain.
Oh.
So I don't know if it's still an operating restaurant or like if people know about it. If you've ever eaten at an Ivar's, let us know. Let us know how it is.
Yeah.
The second person to die in 1908 was Ida Wilcox. I don't have a lot of information about a lot of these victims.
Yeah.
I'm going to call them victims because they were victims of her.
Yeah.
I don't know much about her, but she fasted 47 days and died on September 26th in 1908. So the thing is, when Daisy Maud Hogland they had an autopsy done because she died at 38.
Yeah.
She did have terminal stomach cancer. They found out based on this autopsy.
Okay.
And so because Hazzard was a doctor, in quotes, she would also do these autopsies.
Ugh.
She would do her own autopsies.
Jeez.
And every single time, it was wild because every single time these people had pre-existing conditions that killed them. Can you believe?
Wow. Shocking.
But I guess it makes sense because these sick people are coming to her to feel better.
Do you think that, or do you think she's covering it up?
I think they might have had pre-existing conditions, but I do know that every single time she did an autopsy, another medical examiner also did an autopsy and labeled the cause of death every single time as starvation.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
It'll make even more sense later.
Okay.
Moving into 1909, she had 2 more deaths right at the beginning of the year. She had, or at the beginning and the middle, she had Violet Heaton, who died March 24th, and Blanche B. Tyndall, who died on the June 18th. So, all these people in Seattle are reaching out and saying, like, this woman is killing people.
Yeah.
Like,
I wonder how many patients she had. Like,
I don't know.
Per year. Like, I want to know, like, her mortality rate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I would assume it's pretty high, but
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But they were reaching out and saying, this woman is killing people. Mm-hmm. And Seattle's health director said, people are willingly doing this. So it gets into a sort of legal gray area where you're allowed to starve yourself.
Yeah, like they're not being held against their will or anything like that.
But there is a lot of, or at least I've noticed a lot of people talking, when they talk about this case, about how the more sick of from starvation you get, the more easy you are to be coerced.
Well, yeah.
So even if somebody comes to save you, mm-hmm. you might not want to go with them because you're delusional.
Yeah, and especially
from not eating.
Especially if it was a cult-like mentality. Like, mm-hmm. A, you're delusional, you're not yourself, and then B, you're being manipulated.
Mm-hmm. And, like, not to bring up Jilly Juice again.
Okay, yeah, that's
But
fine.
to bring up Jilly Juice again, it's the same idea as, like, if you report feeling sick, if mm-hmm. you report feeling pain, she tells you that that's good.
Right.
That's a good thing. You're feeling this way because pain is your body rebuilding. And it's like, no, pain is my body telling me something is wrong.
That's like the insanity workout. They have the pain is weakness leaving the body t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're hurting yourself.
Yeah. Pain is your body saying, like, hey,
red alert,
something has gone wrong. Yeah. Unless you have CFS, in which your body is just constantly, like, pulling the fire alarm on you.
Yeah, most of what we are saying is, like, in the exception of chronic illness and everything.
Yeah.
But
if you're a healthy individual, pain is telling you something is wrong.
Right.
So I can imagine people saying, like, no, I'm feeling this way. I'm supposed to feel this way. I'm supposed to feel sick. I'm supposed to whatever. Right. So they said they couldn't do anything because people were doing it, like, of their own volition.
Right, which makes sense.
Well, when we cross into some actual crime, I mean, this is a crime. This is a scam. She is a confidence trickster, according to according to Wikipedia. She is a confidence trickster.
Yeah.
So, a man named Eugene Stanley Wakelin, who was 26 years old and from New Zealand, was found dead on their property from a gunshot wound to the head.
That was unexpected.
Yeah. Hard left.
Yeah.
He did not starve to death. He was shot in the head by somebody.
Okay.
Possibly, they wondered, was it himself? Did he kill himself? Who knows? But he was the son of a British lord.
Okay.
And so the police assumed that, or the police inferred that the Hazards, both of them, Sam and Linda, mm-hmm. they figured that the Hazards thought he must have money. And when it turned out he didn't, they think that the Hazzards did it, but nothing came of that. So I'm assuming it ended up ruled a suicide because they didn't go to jail. They weren't brought up on charges. None of that.
I was going to ask, like, I didn't know if I was getting ahead of myself, but, like, where is Samuel during all of this?
Oh, yeah. He's right there. He's aiding in all of this.
Okay.
So moving on, I know we're kind of, like, jumping through the years, but we're kind of just, like, doing a flyby of all the victims because we know what's going on.
Right.
Moving on to 1910, the first victim of 1910, because there's more than one victim every year, and still they're not stopping her. The first victim was Maud Whitney. Not a lot is known about Maud, but she was the first victim of 1910. And then we had Earl Edward Erdmann, and he is the linchpin. He is like, thank God for Earl. Earl was 24 years old. He was a civil engineer, and he had painful indigestion.
Okay.
So he'd been going all over to these doctors, and no traditional medicine was helping.
I feel that.
Painful indigestion. So he turned to my friend Linda.
Our dear Linda.
Dear Linda, please help me with your fasting treatment.
Right.
So here is how we get to know exactly what was going on during these treatments. Because Earl Edward Erdmann kept a diary.
Yes, we love a diary.
We love a diary, especially if it's detailing exactly what you're eating or what you're not eating.
Right.
So he began his treatment February 1st. Treatment in quotations. I am going to read through his diary entries for you.
I'm excited.
They're very short because it's just like a food journal. We've both had to keep food journals for like medical stuff. So it's just as dry as that.
Absolutely.
But February 1st, he says, saw Dr. Hazzard and began treatment this date. No breakfast, mashed soup dinner, mashed soup supper. So he uses the oldie times or the Hannah Biddle vernacular of
dinner, supper.
You have breakfast, dinner, and then supper, or breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
So in his case and in my case, dinner is always the second meal.
Yeah.
Confused everyone at Elizabeth's Pittsburgh bridal shower
we were
when I said,
what?
We're going to pray and then we're going to eat dinner. And everyone was like, dinner? It's lunchtime. And I was like, I'm from the middle of nowhere.
Not to mention we were eating brunch.
Yeah. Anyway.
So just,
So that was his February 1st. February 5th through the 8th, he ate 1 orange for breakfast.
Okay.
Mashed soup dinner and mashed soup supper.
And
I am not sure.
Soup is...
I don't know. Because February 9th through the 11th, he had 1 orange for breakfast, strained soup dinner, and strained soup supper.
Okay, I will say that strained soup, I assume, is just broth. Like, you make a bone broth and then strain it.
Mashed soup is like the stuff is still in it, but it's all like blendified.
Maybe. That's not enough food for an adult man.
No.
Period. Point blank.
No.
I have recently been to a dietitian. I am 5'2". I am a lady. And if I told my dietitian that's all I was eating, she would be like, are you insane? Yeah. Literally, I told her what I was eating, which was, like a lot more than what this dude's eating. And she told me to eat more.
Yeah. I think most human beings need more calories than we think we need. We just need the right kinds of calories.
Exactly. And like a soup is not a bad place to start. But, and like, my approved breakfast was one piece of fruit. So I'm like, orange, dope, we're good. That's fine. It's the dinner and supper that I'm like, fam.
With no snacks.
That's not it.
Yeah. So then get ready, February 12th, he has 1 orange for breakfast.
Yeah.
1 orange for dinner.
Okay.
And 1 orange for supper.
Absolutely not.
A 3 orange day. His chance of scurvy is so low. His chance of dying of starvation, so high.
So high.
February 13th, he had a two oranges for breakfast.
Uh-huh.
No dinner, no supper. And also remember, he's doing all of this and doing daily enemas.
Oh my God. I forgot
and
about
violent
the enemas.
massages. Yeah. Never forget about the enemas.
Gross.
Title contender.
Oh man, I do have such strong feelings.
February 14th, Valentine's Day, he ate 1 cup of strained tomato broth at 6 p.m.
That's it?
That's it. Elizabeth, these people are starving to death. Why do you look so surprised? What did you think they were going to be eating?
You know, honestly, that's more than I expected, but just like hearing it out loud,
it's nothing.
It's jarring. I don't know.
It's nothing. It is nothing.
I just feel bad because I've been in like what I feel like is like desperate situations with my health. I can't imagine feeling so desperate that I would resort to a plan like this and be like, this is fine.
Yeah.
Like, well, I really feel for these people.
Yeah. Especially because they thought it was helping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they trusted this woman. We trust our doctors. You find so many times, whether the doctor is like injecting you with morphine and killing you or giving you terrible, terrible advice.
Yeah.
We trust these people inherently.
Well, they take the Hippocratic Oath.
She didn't.
Well, yeah. That I know.
Anyway, February 15th, he had 1 cup of hot strained tomato soup night and morning.
The only thing worse than tomato soup is strained tomato soup.
I hate tomato soup.
I do too.
I've never like made it, and I do have a tomato soup recipe, and I think I am gonna try to make it just to see if I like it better, but we'll see.
I bet it would be good homemade.
Okay, so then here's where we start getting even more we even get more stuff going on here.
Okay.
February 16th, he writes, he ate 1 cup of hot strained tomato soup AM and PM again. Slept better last night. He starts talking about his sleep. He also says head quite dizzy, eyes yellow streaked and red.
Oh my.
So he's getting jaundice.
Yeah.
Because his kidneys are shutting down.
Because of the enemas.
Because of the enemas and the lack of nutrition.
Fun fact, if this is the same kind of crap that will happen to you if you misuse laxatives. You will break your body. Your body will not know how to function anymore.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that his cells are not being given nutrients.
No.
He's definitely dehydrated.
Yeah.
So he's logging his symptoms as well here. So February 17th, he says he ate 3 oranges. February 19th, he said, called on Dr. Dawson today at his home. Slept well Saturday night. I don't know who Dr. Dawson was, but I really hope Dr. Dawson was like, you need to quit this.
Probably like a family doctor.
I don't know if this was like his PCP or what the deal was, but
yeah.
February 20th, he says, ate strained juice of 2 small oranges at 10 a.m. Dizzy all day.
Imagine squeezing 2 cuties and straining what you squeezed out of them, and that's all you ate that day.
Well, that's not all he ate that day. That's what he ate in the morning.
Okay.
He says he was dizzy all day, and then he says ate strange juice of 2 small oranges at 5 p.m. So a cup of orange juice, a small cup of orange juice in the morning, and a small cup of orange juice at night.
Yeah.
Then the 21st, he ate 1 cup of settled and strained tomato broth. And he writes, backache today, just below ribs.
Oh.
Kidneys. Yeah. Like, if this doesn't tell you what she was doing to these people, if it doesn't humanize what she was doing to these people, because you can read him going into decline.
Yeah.
February 22nd, he says, 8 juice of 2 small oranges at 10 a.m. Backache today in the right side, just below the ribs. So he's still having this kidney pain.
Yeah.
February 23rd, slept but little last night. Ate 2 small oranges at 9 a.m. Went after milk. So, like, went to get milk and felt very bad. Ate 2 small oranges at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
February 24th, he says, we're almost done. February 24th, he says, slept better Wednesday night. Kind of frontal headache in the a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Ate 2 small oranges, 10 a.m. Ate 1.5 cups hot tomato soup at 6 p.m. Heart hit up to 95 minutes, so 95 beats per minute.
Oh, no.
And sweat considerable.
I was just going to say I'm surprised that he is not experiencing heart failure yet, and there it was.
Yeah, we're on this next one is February 25th. I have two entries left.
Mm-hmm.
February 25th, he says, slept pretty well Thursday night, ate 1.5 cups tomato broth 11 a.m., ate 1.5 cups tomato broth 6 p.m., pain in right below ribs, liver.
So
February, go ahead.
So we can check off kidneys, heart, and liver.
And brain. And eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, So he says, February 26th, did not sleep so very well Friday night. Pain in right side, just below ribs in the back. Pain quit in the night. Ate 1.5 cups tomato broth at 10:45 a.m. Ate 2.5 plump small oranges at 4:30 p.m. Felt better afternoon than for the last week. And that was February 26th.
Oh, no.
He died March 28th.
I want to know why he stopped recording.
I think it's because he went to her home.
Like inpatient?
To get treatment. Yeah, he went to Wilderness Heights. I mean, I didn't read Greg Olson's book, but I imagine it's in there.
Yeah.
There's like more detail on him. But thank God for him, because we have her. She wrote a book, so we have her protocol somewhere.
Right.
But we have her protocol written down. So the day after he died, the Seattle Daily News headline, front page, read, "Woman, quote, MD, kills another patient."
Good.
Yeah. So people knew that she was doing this. Like, there was a public outcry to, like, stop this woman.
Right.
But there was nothing legally that they could do, because these people were just doing it.
Yeah.
She wasn't making anybody do anything.
Yeah.
But there has to be some sort of laws in place for these people who are recklessly endangering people. For these breatharians and these jelly juices and all of this stuff, that people, you're not qualified to make these claims.
I mean, really, even now, like, how many laws are there, though?
That's what I mean. Because today you still have these people that are just shysters.
Yeah.
That are killing people. Ugh, I'm, like, actually very upset about this.
Well, because there's not really a whole lot of justice in these situations.
Continuing.
Okay.
1911 is when we have Lewis Emerson Rader. So next slide.
Okay.
This is him.
Okay.
He was a former Washington state legislator, and he published a magazine called Sound Views.
Mm-hmm.
He had bad stomach pain, so he sought Linda Hazzard out. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I've never had stomach pain and thought, what would help? Not eating.
Not eating.
But at the same time, I have had stomach pain that I'm just like, dear God, I don't want to eat anything. So,
I don't think it's that he didn't want to eat. I think it's that he was just like, somebody fix my stomach pain. Oh, right. I'm supposed to have 3 oranges and that's it today? Also, how easy was it for them to even get oranges at this time in Washington?
That's a very good point.
That feels expensive.
Maybe that's why they were so small.
Maybe. Maybe.
I mean, I don't, even mean that as a joke, but they're not seasonally appropriate and...
Yeah. Well, he was a prominent figure in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So health officials tried to convince him to not do this.
Well, that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but that's not that's not enough.
No.
They tried to get him to stop once he had already started.
Okay.
So he originally was at home like everybody else, but then when he started getting too sick, he didn't go for whatever reason to Wilderness Heights.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the Seattle Outlook Hotel.
Okay.
The Microsoft Outlook Hotel. And when they told him, please quit doing this is when we get into the whole, everybody thought he was delusional from not eating.
Right.
Because he was like, please go away. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
He died on May 11th, 1911.
Okay.
After fasting for 37 days.
Wow, that's short.
He was 47 years old. He was 5'11", and when he died, he weighed less than 100 pounds.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, this woman is just killing people, and they can't do anything about it. Can't in quotes as well.
Right.
Also in that year, Frank Southard, who was a lawyer, and the publisher of Alaska Yukon magazine, C.A. Harrison, also died after following her treatment. Also, John Ivan Flux, who was from England, he came to America and did a 53-day long fast and died as a result. And before he died, he signed over his assets to Linda Hazzard.
Aha, there it is.
Yeah. When he died, he had $70 to his name.
And what's the conversion on that?
Oh, I don't think I can do it because it's 1911.
Oh, really?
You can only go back to 1913.
Well, we'll get as close as we can.
But in 1913, $70 was $1,841.13.
Not major, but the buying power, as we know, is a lot more than today.
Yeah. So after all of this, how do we finally take down Linda Hazzard?
Oh, that's a great question.
She is a hazard.
She is. A hazard with two Z's.
Yes.
How'd they do it?
Justice comes in the form, unfortunately, in the form of the Williamson Sisters.
Uh-oh.
They are her most well-known victims. Their names were Claire and Dorothea Williamson.
Okay.
They were British. They were wealthy. They had time and they had money, like we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They were also big fans of alternative medicine and known to be hypochondriacs.
Oh.
So they thought they had a lot wrong with them that they maybe didn't. So they were staying in Victoria, British Columbia, at a very fancy hotel. And because it's so close to Seattle, there was a Seattle newspaper there. And they saw an advertisement for Fasting for the Cure of Disease, the book written by Hazzard. And they ordered it right away.
Yeah.
They were like, we need this book. So when it got there, there was a pamphlet inside because it would have been shipped by Linda.
Right.
She was self-publishing it. there was a pamphlet inside for Linda Hazzard's Institute of Natural Therapeutics in Olalla, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So, these two, like, did this pilgrimage straight there. They were like, we are obsessed. We need this right now.
Mm-hmm.
This also is very Goop. Like Gwyneth Paltrow Goop.
Illuminati just put out a Goop video today, which is what I was watching.
I'll have to watch it. I haven't
Good.
seen it yet.
It's good.
So, this is very Goop to me.
Yeah.
I just had to explain Goop to Ryan.
Ooh.
Because I saw a thing and I read it and I was like, this is perfect. That said Joe Rogan is to men what Gwyneth Paltrow is for women.
So, speaking of, Joe Rogan is now Spotify exclusive with his podcast, which is like, fine, whatever. I don't care.
I don't listen to it anyway.
I don't listen to him either. But Spotify is publishing ads for his show on YouTube.
I've seen those, yes.
And the one ad gets me because it's like, so there are infinities that are bigger than other infinities. And I'm like, this is the audio bite that they chose to be like, oh, look at how profound Joe Rogan is. Look at how deep this podcast is. And I'm just like, oh my God, you're an idiot. Like, he's not wrong. It's not wrong, but it's just the biggest, like, stoner, like, idiot man. Ugh. Yeah, we're about to have podcast beef come at us.
Oh, I'll gladly pit our little podcast against Joe Rogan.
Listen,
don't care.
I think he has the ability to get some really good guests on sometimes, and I will say that he asks some good questions, but oh boy, that's it.
I don't listen to him because I feel like he's Alex Jones if Alex Jones was a stoner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyhow.
Just so you know, everyone, this podcast is...
We don't stand Joe Rogan.
We don't stand Joe Rogan. Exactly. So, the Williamson Sisters... They make this pilgrimage to Olalla. They don't tell their family or their friends.
Okay.
Because they know that their family and friends are going to disapprove of this.
Cult.
Yeah, they know that that's not what this is going to be.
That just has cult written all over it. Front ways, back ways, sideways, all over it.
Yeah. Also, remember, she doesn't have her sanitarium built yet.
Oh, God.
But she's including pamphlets for it in her books.
Well, because she'll just put them in her house for the time being until the sanitarium is done.
That's not what she does.
Oh, no.
No. So, first of all, can you imagine they get there and they're like, hi, we're here for the sanitarium, because they're British. And she's like, oh, I didn't think anybody was actually going to come from those pamphlets. And so what she does is she tells them that it's not ready yet, the sanitarium. And so she puts them in a Seattle apartment because they can't receive their treatment at home, at their home, the way that they're supposed to be doing, because they don't live here.
Right.
So the plan was come stay in the sanitarium and receive your stuff here, but there is no sanitarium. It's a scam.
Right.
It's a scamatarium. Yeah. So she puts them in the Seattle apartment. She feeds them 2 small portions of tomato broth twice a day.
Uh-huh.
They both get these crazy massages. And they both... Remember I said I was going to bring up the enemas again?
Oh, yeah.
These enemas were apparently so painful that every time they would get it, the sisters would faint.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. What the heck? Like... I can't imagine an enema being comfortable.
No.
But I don't think it should be painful.
No, it should not be painful.
Ugh. Claire and Dorothea. Dorothea went by Dora.
Mm-hmm.
As they were moving further and further into their treatment, Linda started asking them questions about their familial money and their inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
Because she knew they were rich.
Right.
So, after like 2 months, they are too sick to function. So now they get to go to Wilderness Heights.
Right.
One day, during all of this, a woman named Margaret Conway got a letter from the sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret Conway was Claire and Dora's nanny from their childhood. They asked her to come to Olalla as soon as possible.
Okay.
I assume she was in England.
Oh.
So she arrived on June 1st. She was met at the boat terminal by Samuel Hazzard.
Oh, no.
And Sam Hazzard told her, welcome to Olalla. Claire is dead.
Okay. But not Dora.
Not Dora. Claire is dead, but she didn't die from the treatment my wife is giving her. No. She died from cirrhosis of the liver.
Okay.
Not starvation. Cirrhosis of the liver.
Right.
Yeah. Checks out.
Absolutely.
So Conway went to the funeral home or the medical examiner's office where Claire's body was being housed.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that body looked absolutely nothing like Claire.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to like cast aspersions on whether or not it was Claire. It just was so changed by this quote unquote treatment.
Right.
Yeah. So after that, they took her to see Dora. And Dora insisted to Margaret that the treatment is helping. I don't want to leave. Like, I'm totally fine. She also said before Claire died, she signed over her estate to Linda Hazzard. And Linda Hazzard had been appointed as Dora's guardian.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And she had signed over her power of attorney to Samuel Hazzard.
Oh, my God.
Margaret Conway also saw that Linda Hazzard was frequently wearing Claire's clothing and jewelry, which is why in those pictures of her at the beginning, there's two where she's in like a double-breasted, like hospital sort of medical looking dress.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, she's in a very fancy dress.
Yes.
And I don't know if that dress is hers. I don't know if that dress is Claire Williamson's or if it's hers.
I don't know. Do we have pictures of these girls?
So.
Okay.
Please steel yourself.
Okay.
Because what you're about to see is not great. But the next slide is them before treatment and then Dora after treatment.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Before she left the property, so I'll get into how they got her out of there, but before Dora left Olalla, Washington, she weighed less than 50 pounds.
Wow. And I mean, they're short. Like, they're not... I mean, they probably aren't too much taller than me, but that's... There's nothing to her. There's more dress there than person.
I will say, if you're listening and you're looking at social media and you can't find this photo...
Yeah.
We will include it in the brief, but we don't typically include things like this in the social media photos. So if you're looking for this picture and you can't find it, it's not a mistake.
No.
You just need to go to our website and look at the brief. It'll be in there.
I don't typically
put this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't like to put actual crime scene photos, pictures of bodies. I don't like to put anything like that on social media for the unsuspecting to stumble upon. I think you should know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. So she's just very emaciated. Yeah. She's very skeletal looking.
Very gaunt. Her cheeks are sunken in. I mean. Yeah.
So how did they get her out of there? Basically, Margaret Conway was like, listen, I need to help this girl. I am afraid of this woman because she is scary and domineering. Yeah. But, like, I am the nanny. I am Fran Drescher.
Right.
And I am getting her out of here. So she told Linda Hazzard, I am taking her. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm taking her. And Linda said, no, you're not. I'm her guardian. Ugh. Sam is her power of attorney. You cannot take her. So Conway sent a message to the girl's uncle, John Herbert, who lived in Portland, Oregon, and explained what was going on. Mm-hmm. So Herbert came to Washington. Yeah. He was just over in Portland. And he was like, I'm here to take her. And Hazzard handed him a bill.
Oh, my God.
Of over $2,000 for the care that she had received there.
Oh, my God.
Let me get my inflation calculator open again.
But also, you literally just calculated for $70.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah. He gets there, and she hands him a bill of $52,603.64.
Wow.
And says, this is for all the care she received in my care. Yeah. With all the treatment she received. Now, he did manage to, like, negotiate her down from that price. Mm-hmm. He negotiated it down to $1,000, which would have been $26,301.81. Mm-hmm. So, still a substantial fee, but he managed to get that halved. And then he took his niece and he took the nanny and they left.
And I mean, however, I'm sure they're still counting this as a win.
Oh yeah, they just got $26,000 for starving a woman.
Yeah.
Like what are you putting into it? Nothing. You're not even feeding her.
You took her clothes, her jewelry, killed her sister, mm-hmm. and then got $25,000 for it.
Yeah. So, thank the Lord, on August 11th, 1911, Linda Hazzard was arrested for the murder of Claire Williamson.
She should have also been arrested for extortion.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. If you go to your next slide, this is her mugshot.
Oh, they should call it a smug shot, because she looks like she's got a smug, crap-eaten grin on her face. Ooh.
I love the left one, though, where you can see they were like, keep your head back, and she was like, like, real self-conscious about it, like, is it back far enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. She also does her hair the way I do my hair.
It looks better on you.
Especially when my hair is longer. I love that, like, twist it up and just pin it, and it gets all, like, floofy and very Edwardian.
Yeah.
I love that. So, in January 1912, her trial began, and all the nurses that worked for her testified, so the jury heard exactly what was going on. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they were testifying in her defense or what they were testifying for, but they heard everything. They heard about the enemas. They heard about the violent massages. They heard about the starvation. Mm-hmm. And the prosecution basically was like, the two of them, being Linda and Sam, not only starved them physically, but they took advantage of them financially.
Yep.
And they basically made them vulnerable by starving them and then taking all their stuff.
Yeah.
So, Linda Hazzard said throughout this whole thing that none of her patients died from starvation. They all died from pre-existing conditions that were already happening before they started the fasting. Mm-hmm. And she also tried to say, the only reason you're all coming after me is because I'm a successful woman.
No.
Which, like...
No.
I wish I could be with you on this.
Yeah.
But I can't.
Like, this is not the time, sis.
Yeah. So the jury ultimately convicted her of manslaughter.
Okay, that's... Okay.
And she was sentenced to 2 to 20 years. So a range from 2 years to 20 years.
Still more than Brock Turner.
Yeah. And she was sentenced to hard labor at Washington State Penitentiary in Walla Walla.
Okay.
She was released on parole in 1915 after serving 2 years.
Because of course she was.
Yes. And then she and Sam moved to New Zealand, where there was a big following of her practices.
Ugh.
Because I don't know why. The state of Washington revoked her medical license that she didn't earn in the first place.
Yeah, like literally that she gave to herself. Like she could have drawn it up in crayon. Like,
basically.
Oh, I'm so heated about this.
Well, yeah, this is a ridiculous case.
It's so ridiculous.
So they revoked her license, but she still called herself a doctor. Mm-hmm. And then authorities in New Zealand, people told them, like, she doesn't actually have a license. So she was charged in New Zealand for practicing medicine without registration. Good. Thank the Lord. She was found guilty, but they only fined her. She didn't, like, receive jail time.
Yeah.
So, in 1920, they moved back to Olalla, Washington.
Wow, that's surprising.
If you go to your next slide.
No.
She finally built the sanitarium, and she called it her School of Health. People kept coming for these stupid treatments, even though a bunch of people had died and she had gone to prison for it. Yeah. And after that, nobody knows how many people after that, or really before that, died in her care. Well, like, nobody knows. We don't have a number.
She had to have figured out some kind of sneaky way to market it as not a medical facility, kind of. Because she's not a doctor. Yeah. Like, I would love to have seen how it was that she marketed this in such a way that she was able to get away with it.
The School of Health is what she called it. So, in 1927, she wrote another book called Scientific Fasting, The Ancient and Modern Key to Health. I don't know what she would have added that she didn't already, write in the first one, but like... Right. Yeah. And then in 1935, the School of Health burned down.
I mean, I have absolutely no basis for this, but I'm calling insurance fraud.
I don't know. I don't know if she received anything, but they never rebuilt it.
I'm calling insurance fraud.
I don't know. But the way this ends is that in 1938, so 3 years after the School of Health burnt down, Linda Hazzard died at the age of 70. She starved to death doing a fast.
Good.
Yeah, couldn't have happened to a nicer lady. My friend Linda.
That's what I want to know is, what was she eating this whole time?
Yeah. I mean,
I want to know.
It sounds like she was also fasting.
But she couldn't have been doing it in the same way.
Yeah. Well, like you see with breatharians, they're all frauds.
Well, yeah.
Like, they're like, I haven't eaten anything for 15 years. And it's like baloney. Because when they tried to, like, film this one lady for 24 hours a day, they ended up calling it off because she was getting so, like, this is so upsetting. So she started having, like, ill effects. Yeah. And because she was actually doing it. And the, like, 60 Minutes or 2020 was like, okay, we have to stop because we'll be liable if you die. Yeah. Yeah. So she was definitely a fraud, but she starved to death at the age of 70.
Can you imagine what kind of...
She sucks.
Can you imagine what kind of brand of stupid you would have to be lying about starving yourself and then agree to be filmed starving yourself?
Yeah.
Like, what brand of stupid is that?
Her name, the woman I'm talking about, I'll get there.
That's okay.
Oh, Jazz Muheen.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, that's not her actual name.
Mm-hmm.
Her real name is Ellen Grieve, but she goes by Jazz Muheen. She was the one who they tried to film.
Right.
Yeah. She claims that she'll, like, eat if there's something that she, like, if there's, like, chocolate cake or something, and she, like, really wants chocolate cake, she'll, like, have a piece. But she's not, like, eating on the regular, she claims.
Yeah, okay.
But that can't be. But that is our pal Linda Hazzard.
What a wacko.
Yeah. A wacko that killed at least 12 people.
Like, it's interesting because it has, like, murder trust, but make it complicated vibes.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, because, like, make people kill themselves.
Right. And, I mean, to be fair, she got away with it for a heck of a lot longer than the murder trust did.
Honestly, she got away with it.
She really did. I mean, she
did.
served 2 years and then got to keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. I also don't understand how she was on parole, but she moved to New Zealand.
That's a good point. That didn't even occur to me.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy is this crazy lady?
I'm gonna call it, like, 0 or 1 being, like, everyday, 10 being literally the wackiest thing in the world. I think it's a solid 7.
I was gonna say that as well.
Like, it's definitely been outdone.
Mm-hmm.
And
on this very show.
Oh, absolutely. And, like, yes, it's crazy what she did. As someone who reads and watches a lot of stuff about cults and understands a little bit of the psychology behind how people end up finding themselves in cults and, like, going along with crazy stuff like this, the victims being there and being willing does not really surprise me nearly as much as how long it took them to find her criminally guilty and responsible for it.
Absolutely.
And then to allow it to happen again.
Absolutely.
Like, that's what's bonkers to me.
I was just looking because I know that we're skipping the next 2 weeks of recording. So that on the 28th, would you be interested in doing a 2-part episode? So meaning, we would do a 2-episode recording day, but it would just be me doing both parts.
Yeah.
Where we talk about Scientology, why it's a cult, and the crimes involved in that.
Oh, yeah. And if you don't mind, I'll come prepared with some stuff for it, too, because I love that stuff. And I brought it up to my coworker about the 1, 2, 3 mouse stuff today. ABC Mouse.
ABC Mouse,
whatever the heck it's called. And he was like, "Oh, I've just been watching Leah Remini's series." And I was like, "I love that show so much." And he's like, "I'm a little nervous, though, that they're going to, like, come after me." And I was like, "I watched it once years ago and again this year." I said, "Nothing has happened to me. You're fine. Don't worry about it."
There's, like, a new season of it on Netflix, and I've been digging it.
Wait, a new season?
There is a season on Netflix. It seems new to me. It's new to me. We've watched it.
Let me see if it's new to me.
I also love the fact that when she was still part of Scientology, you actively, vocally hated her.
I did.
But since coming out against Scientology, you are very in love with Leah Remini.
Listen, I truly believe that anyone is capable of growth, But that does not mean that I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt before they show me their growth.
True.
And she is one of those people who really showed her growth and is doing, and like she's even said on the show that she feels guilty, and she is actively making reparations. And come on, you gotta love that.
Let's hold back on the rest of our Leah Remini praise.
Okay.
For 2 weeks from now, we will sit down and we will do a 2-part episode about why is it a cult, or why is it considered a cult? What is it all about? And what are their crimes? Why are we talking about them on a true crime podcast?
Yes. I'm all here for it.
Awesome. I'm excited.
I am too. Oh my God. This is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm very pleased that we have a plan this far in advance.
Yeah.
Would you like to discuss what we are reading, what we are recommending?
So, again, I'm not reading anything right at this moment. It's been a little bit of a crazy couple weeks for me. However, I just whacked my headphone with the book. In true fashion of Liz, it's going to be another Holocaust book.
Excellent.
Listen, you have to understand what happened was, because I really do feel the need to like preface this, because I noticed some people, it seems really weird, and I think a lot of people are used to like when someone in their life suddenly becomes really, really interested in World War II, it's not exactly an innocent interest. I'm not interested in World War II. I'm interested specifically in the crimes against humanity, because they were crimes against humanity.
Truly.
And I do not put them on a pedestal, but I do wish to remember what happened and make sure that it never happens again. So, with that said, my pick this week is called Auschwitz, A Doctor's Eyewitness Account by actual doctor Miklos Niesli. I'm not sure if I said that correctly. But it is literally, so what happened in Auschwitz was when the victims came in on the trains, they, at some times, if necessary, if they had a need for physicians at that point, they would ask who was a physician and separate them out, and they would give them jobs. And so they often had to do things that were heinous and that they didn't want to do in order to stay alive. So this is an account of a real physician who was pulled out of registration at Auschwitz to become a doctor at the camp.
Yikes.
It is heavy, it is dark, but if that's what you like to read, which I almost dislike saying I like to read it, because I don't want to make light of anything, obviously. But I do have that morbid curiosity about it. So I highly recommend it. I'm going to put it in the book list. It's really fantastic. So that's my recommendation.
It sounds so.
It
I
is.
think anytime you have an eyewitness account or somebody who was actually there, I think it adds a lot to the story.
Yeah, and that's really what I like the most, are these like first person point of view individual accounts. And you know, you learn about the Holocaust in school, but you really don't know anything about it until you dive into these first person accounts.
Have you ever read, this is not my reading or recommending, but maybe to you I'm recommending.
Sure.
Have you ever read, I think it's called The Hiding Place? It's by Corrie ten Boom.
No.
She and her family were Christians living in, I think, Denmark, but I might be wrong. And they were, they hid and trafficked Jews.
Oh.
To safety. I read them when I was very young. It's, obviously, my family and my mother really especially enjoyed it because it's very She talks a lot about her faith, and I think it would take a lot of faith, whatever your faith is, to do something like that.
It takes a lot of cojones, and that's what we need.
Sure does.
That's what we need in 2020 is people with the kind of cojones that these people who helped get human beings to safety during times like World War II and slavery and all of that. That's the thing. It's like everything that's going on right now, I think about the fact that, like, I have decided, I've had a conversation with myself where I have asked myself, what do I want to be able to say that I did in times of civil unrest, in times of war, in times of groups that are oppressed, seeking justice and equality.
Ryan and I, earlier this year, Ryan looked at me and he said, have you ever thought about what you would do if you were in, like, Nazi Germany?
Yes.
And he was like, I really think we need to evaluate and decide right now what we're going to do, because stuff's going down.
Bless him.
And we need to decide.
I have had coworkers block me on Facebook because I posted what to do if ICE knocks on your door. I have had people look at me sideways because I told them, yeah, I'm going protesting this weekend. Well, guess what? I have family that I am afraid to ask what they did in the 60s when Martin Luther King was alive. I'm afraid to ask what the reality of my family history is because I'm afraid that I'm not going to be happy with that answer. And I don't want to be that. So that's why I read stuff like this. Because, you know, there has to be a level of humanity. You have to have empathy. You have to understand what is at stake. Not for you, but for the people around you. And if you don't care, I don't know how to convince you to care. Yeah. You know? Like, I like I have been saying since, like, summer, since COVID began, since all of this stuff, I don't know how to convince people to care about other people.
I don't know. I feel the exact same way.
And call me a snowflake if you want to, but if I'm a snowflake, I am a beautiful, glittering, resilient snowflake who is going to make everyone around me comfortable. Anyway, Hannah, I know, I feel like, woo, Hannah, what are you reading?
But honestly, like we said earlier, this podcast doesn't stand Joe Rogan, and this podcast stands for a lot of things.
And that's like, the thing, like, I get the mentality of, like, oh, well, if you're a business, you should just keep your mouth shut if you want business.
Not this business.
Not this business. I don't want it. If my opinion is going to make you want to walk away, bye. Yeah. Like, especially I'm okay with that.
Especially when the opinions that we are sharing at this moment, like, in our very first episode, we were talking about rapists not getting enough time in jail. Yeah. And you were like, not to get political. And I said, absolutely to get political. Yeah. This podcast is not wishy-washy on what we stand for.
A lot has happened since we recorded that first podcast, too. A lot has happened. So, you know, that's just what it is. And I mean, first of all, we don't really make a lot of money on this. We do have a sponsored spot, but we don't have a large enough audience that we're, like, paying the bills with this podcast. We're doing it because we like it. So,
listen,
that's
if we were making anything from this podcast, we would have had an editor forever ago. Oh, yeah. If I could stop editing, that would be great.
Yeah, exactly. We can afford it.
So what I am reading, I chose this book as my recommendation for the week. I am still reading what I've been reading, so I don't want to talk too much about those things, because if you care, go back to the last episode.
That's the struggle about recording every single week. Like, you're not always going to finish a book a week.
I'm reading the same things I've been reading. So, as we've said before, we work in a library. well, we work in our own separate libraries.
In separate states.
Yeah, we don't work in one library, but we work in the library system.
I wish we worked in one library.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
It would.
But we recently got these things. This is like such a tangential story, but we recently got these things in as samples for the youth room called Wonder Books.
Oh,
and
do they read to the kids?
They do read to the kids.
Yeah.
But they also have a thing that's like a little MP3 player that has like audiobooks on it. So we got 3 of those as samples. We could choose 2 and then they just gave us one.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that they gave us was this book that I'm going to recommend.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we were talking about it today. And so it's in my brain.
Yeah.
But it is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. They made it into a movie a little bit ago.
I thought so.
I have very, very negative feelings about the fact that they made this into a movie, and I will explain. So, the main character of Wonder, it's technically like a juvenile fiction. It's not even YA yet.
Right.
Like, it's technically for children, for like 4th or 5th grade.
Yeah.
The main character is in 5th grade, and he is starting school at a private academy, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a facial deformity. His name is August. And he has a facial deformity. And the whole way through the book, he describes, like, what his deformity makes him do, or how, like, when he eats, he looks like this, or when he breathes, he looks like this, but he never explains what he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So as readers, you're just imagining. And at one point, he even says, but, like, think about the worst thing you can imagine. It's worse than that.
Interesting.
So it is a fantastic book about him navigating this new world while dealing with a disability, how he makes relationships, all of that is just it's such a heartwarming, touching story, especially if you're somebody who has a disability.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I don't like that they made it into a movie is because then we see his face.
It's literally, the title is Wonder. Like, I
Exactly.
haven't read it, but it's like, wonder what it is. Oh, now I've got a movie about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch the movie, though. I would read the book.
That's how it always is.
And because it's a kid's, like a, in quote, kid's book, because it's a juvenile fiction, it is not a hard read. It's 315 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a quick read because it's made for younger readers.
Right.
But it's very good.
Okay. I've heard so many good things about it. I think we have it in our book packs, like for book clubs.
Yeah.
But I've never read it.
I will say I cried a lot reading it.
Did you?
It's very good.
Yeah.
Yes. But it was recommended to me by my sister, who is an elementary school teacher. We recommend each other books all the time,
Yeah.
especially if they made us cry.
Yeah.
I made her read The Book Thief, and she was sitting behind me. She was on the couch. I was on the floor with her kids, and she was reading The Book Thief, and I could just hear her sobbing.
Oh, no.
And I turn to look at her, and she's like, why don't they make contact so when you cry, they don't float off your eyes?
Oh my God.
Elizabeth,
Yes, Hannah.
where can the people find us?
We are Briefcase Crimes across all social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. You can listen to full episodes anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. And if you would like to support us monetarily, you can buy us a coffee on coffee.com/briefcasecrimes. That's KO-FI.com. Or you can purchase any of the book recommendations or books that we mention in our episodes on bookshop.org. They support local bookstores by donating a percentage of profits to the bookstores directly. And through our affiliate link, they also give us a small percentage of the sales as well. And that's where you can find us.
Excellent. And would you like to wrap this up?
I would. This has been a long one, but a good one.
Yes, a very good one.
Thank you so much for listening.
And we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.